Hi, my name's Dave Pullen. I'd like to welcome you to Portland Film Beat. My guest tonight is Matt Schulte. He's a filmmaker, a musician, and the founder and CEO of Lower Boom, a Portland-based micro-budget film studio, talent incubator, and film discovery at platform developer.
Yes.
Matt,
Hey.
how you doing, man?
I'm
Thank you
great.
for coming in here.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Why the name Lower Boom?
Well, a lot of reasons. One, I wanted something short and catchy. I wanted something that wasn't too specific because Lower Boom does a lot of different kinds of things. So I didn't want it to be Matt Schulte Productions. I
Okay.
want it to be a little, a bigger umbrella. And then I also liked, it has some filmmaking connotations,
Yeah.
the boom mic,
Right,
etc.
absolutely.
And we're a micro-budget film studio, so we're trying to create a little bit of a boom down there in the lower budget world.
Okay, good. Tell us about the screenplay that was a finalist in the Blue Cat contest.
It's a script called After the Riots, a feature script, and it's about a family. Basically, Civil War comes to the suburbs.
Oh,
And
really?
It's a story about a husband and wife and their two kids. They're kind of a hipster little family, but this war breaks out, and it turns into the father basically has to go from being a hipster to protecting his family in actual wartime.
Where did you come up with the premise of that?
I don't know, actually.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I just really thought it'd be interesting to have somebody, that you wouldn't normally, see in a situation like that, like having to fight to the death for their family and put them in a situation.
So
like
it's
that.
actually a modern day, but
Yes,
Civil War kinda-
modern day. Well, by that I mean like in the United States, in the premise of the story, the society had kind of broken down and people were fighting each other. So it wasn't like an alien invasion.
Okay.
It wasn't like Russia invaded. It was sort of neighbor against neighbor.
oh wow,
Yeah.
that is interesting.
Yeah.
So you've produced and directed 4 films in 2015 alone. Mm-hmm. Okay, tell us about them. Especially I want to know about Frightening Nature and Joan, and we're going to watch a little clip from Joan here in a little bit. Tell us the premise, characters, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all. Frightening Nature is kind of a David Lynchian story. It's a very experimental film about a woman who sort of wakes up in a dream in a forest, and the story is about her kind of fighting the fears in her subconscious to try escape from this forest.
So, Frightening Nature and Joan are short films?
Yes.
Okay, but the other, After the Riots,
After the Riots, that's a feature.
is it? Okay.
And Joan is basically taking the story of Joan of Arc and taking the classic Carl Dreyer Joan of Arc film, which is a classic 1927 silent film, and we updated it. So in that film, Joan is in court and being tried on charges of acting like a man, basically, right?
Oh, really?
Leading an
Okay,
army,
right.
But we've transposed that story into present time, and she's being held in a clinic.
Okay.
And instead of judges, like in the original Joan of Arc, there's these counselors. So it's kind of an updating of that, but it's in black and white and it's silent.
Okay. But it
like
does
that
have
movie.
music. Actually, you have somebody who does a lot of composing, pretty popular person.
Yeah. Mark Orton, who's a pretty well-known composer and musician. I think his most famous production probably is Nebraska, which is the Alexander Payne movie. He was nominated for,
Yeah.
I think maybe 6 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Alexander Payne directed that. And Mark Orton is doing the score. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, we're going to actually we're going to record a string quartet.
So when it
performing
comes to Frightening Nature and Joan and some of these, where do you get some of your film ideas?
Well, Joan that idea came out of me wanting to update that story of Joan of Arc and just thinking about what would that look like if that kind of a thing happened nowadays.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think in terms of like my ideas for movies, I think they come from lots of different places. I've written quite a few screenplays, both short and features, and I think
For
they
this
really-
year.
Yeah, it's for this year, and we're shooting another one next month. So
Is that right?
Yeah, a movie called Dialed that's set in the Salt Flats in Utah.
Are you going to the Salt Flats?
Yep.
Really? Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Yeah.
So you're also a musician.
Yeah.
You've toured a lot, and you've released an album. It's a live album. It's called Boxer Rebellion. Where was it recorded?
It was recorded in a bar in Boise, Idaho, called the Neurolux.
You get around a lot then.
I get around.
And so there was, I'm interrupting you. Sorry, you can finish.
That's all right.
But
That's right.
who was with you when you did that?
The album?
Yeah.
So it was a band, and I was one of the lead singers, and there's another lead singer. His name's Bill Coffey, a good friend of mine.
Are they all from Portland?
No, none of them are from Portland, actually.
Okay, so you went out to Boise where they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay.
And we toured around a lot, and my friend Bill, who's the other singer in that band, lives in Boise. He and I have played together both as a duo and in larger bands like this Boxer Rebellion project.
Right.
So I flew out there. We did 2 nights at this bar, Neurolux, and recorded both nights, and then turned it into a live album,
Well, good for you.
which you can get on iTunes.
Good. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Right, right on.
So, how many actually films have you shot then, do you think? Over your lifetime or filmmaking?
Well, I've worked on I mean, in addition to shooting, I've worked on a lot of bigger feature films. So I wouldn't count those. I suppose I've probably shot maybe 8.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you write all 8 yourself?
Yes. The only movie that I've helped produce is a movie that I didn't write. Was a movie called CPR that came out about 3 years ago that played a lot of festivals around the world. Yeah.
How long have you been making films then?
Probably, I'm going to say maybe 16 years, maybe.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you get professional training or just this is something I want to do?
I just like as a musician, I've had no training in either.
Yeah, but some of the better filmmakers, I think, are ones who just get in there and start plugging away.
I think that, like with filmmaking, I actually worked on films in production just because I could. I had friends in the film business, and I started working on
absolutely.
it. But
So you've
it
done
wasn't-
behind the scenes, you've done everything. then.
Totally, and it wasn't, I've been the PA on lots of films, so it wasn't like I went to film school. But the same with
You
musician.
did go
I
to film school.
I went to the real film school.
real film
which is
school, right.
like,
So you actually scored some of the productions on your own film, and there's actually a feature film. Why don't you tell us about that? There's a feature film
Yeah.
going to be playing at the Living Room Theaters?
Yeah, Living
Tell
Room
us about that
Theaters.
film right now.
It's called Big Significant Things, and it's showing August 21st at Living Room Theaters here in Portland. Really excited about it.
All right. And when did you start writing?
Start writing films?
Yeah. Did it come out of your music?
Well, so
musical
I was a writer, obviously, because I wrote my
Mm-hmm.
music, as a musician, and I was working on a film with a good friend of mine, a pretty big feature, and he had an idea for a film that he wanted to get produced, and he sent me the script that he wrote. He was a good friend of mine, and he's like, really tell me what you think. And I read it and I said, it's terrible. And I said, and
Is
he's
he
like,
still your
well,
friend?
Yeah, he's still my friend, right? He knew he could try,
Okay, well, you
so
were honest.
I was honest
you know
with
what?
him.
I think that's a good thing, is to be honest with writers about what they've got.
And because the guy's a brilliant producer. He's actually a very well-known producer, but now. But he wasn't a writer, but he wanted to get the idea out. And I said, what if you thought about it
So
like
the premise
this?
was good, but
Decent premise.
Okay.
Just kind of, people, especially, rookie screenwriters, as you know, like dialogue can really, that can
Heavy
be tough.
dialogue.
Structure can be tough.
I read a thing about a week ago that had 2 paragraphs of dialogue, and the other person had 2 paragraphs. It's like you could say the same thing
Yes,
in
please.
3 sentences.
Exactly.
But that's
Yeah, but
there's-
that's how you learn, exactly. So anyway, I said, what about this? And I kind of wrote some stuff back to him, and he said, oh, that's pretty good, keep going. And that ended up being a script that we actually chopped around a little bit and got some good meetings.
So is that what first got you interested in film?
In the writing a part of it, yeah.
Okay.
I was already working in films at that time.
You've been doing this long enough. Then you were shooting films before the digital age really took hold.
Yeah. Well,
did
and-
you-
Yeah, and so.
So were you involved when they were using celluloid?
Oh,
Or,
sure.
Do you still use celluloid, or you use mostly digital?
I use mostly digital, although I really one of the films that's on this list here that I've shot this year, I shot in Super 8.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because I
you
thought
can
it
still
was
get
really,
Super 8.
You can, yeah. In fact, let me give a plug to the Northwest Film Center. If you want to shoot in Super 8, they've got the cameras. They will send the film out to get developed for you, and they'll put it. They'll give you a digital version of it. And I
So
just
you've gotten
shot,
help from the Northwest Film Center.
Absolutely, yeah. That's
They're
a
great.
resource for every filmmaker in the Northwest.
Wow. Okay.
Very supportive of them.
Okay. Do you prefer filmmaking or music? Making music. That's a difficult question.
It is, you know, and it's they're so, in a lot of ways they're so different. Like playing live as a musician, there's really nothing that tops that for me. When you've got an audience there and you're in the middle of a song and it can be really transcendent. Filmmaking's a little more like, okay, let's move that over there. Now let's do that. And like when you get into the edit, that's when I feel like you kind of get the magic going, but the actual filmmaking itself is a little more about the logistics.
Right. So
and
you also
sometimes-
edit then?
I do, yeah, I do actually. I've edited all my films.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes a lot of time. You don't? Do you do the sound design?
I did the sound design, for instance, on Frightening Nature, I did the sound design, which I like, but I actually, just as of today, we're going to do a new mix with a different guy's going to help me mix it, Evan Gandy. Hey, Evan.
Okay. Right. When did you start your own video production company?
Well, I've always produced videos, really, and I don't really think of Lower Boom as like a video production company. Like, I don't necessarily take on clients, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
It's more about like filmmakers and filmmaking projects. But I've been doing film production and video production, you know, for clients for, you know, that same 15 years probably.
Let's watch a little bit of your work right now. We're going to take a few minutes to watch. We're going to watch Joan, and we'll be right back.
Awesome.
Wow, I love that. The images are really clear and crisp.
Yeah.
Did you shoot that in front of a green screen?
No, we
Because
actually.
with the background was
Yeah, so we actually.
so very plain or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we set up basically a studio, so it's not a green screen, but it is a white screen. I mean,
Okay.
and you'll see, you probably saw in some of those clips, images behind the actress.
Sure,
and
yeah.
that was actually, we were projecting images from a projector behind her.
Okay, like
we
they
did a
used to
lot
do
of
in the
that.
old school type
Absolutely, it's very old school.
thing. That's okay.
It's
That's
very old
great.
school.
And,
No,
and so,
looks cool.
who is the actress?
Her name's Kira Distler, and she was great.
You did that right here in Portland then?
We sure did, yeah. And I want to mention the other actors. That
No,
were
I,
part of the
I saw
cast.
John Branch and
John
talked about
Branch?
the angels. Who
Yeah.
are your angels?
Well, there's
Is John Branch one of the angels?
no, he's one of the counselors.
I was going to
He's-
say, because John Branch usually doesn't play, that would be his first angel character. I've
yes,
seen him.
he was the opposite of the angel.
Okay,
in this
I
one.
understand.
But we also had J.J. Johnston and David Frank,
Okay.
who were the other counselors, and then Casey Marks played the angel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Joan, how long is it going to be when it's done?
It's about 9 minutes right now,
Is that right?
9.5 maybe.
Yeah. And so, what kind of camera did you use on that?
We used a couple of different cameras. I think the GH4, I think, is what we used for the most part.
Okay.
And also used one of the Sony AS7, I think they're called.
Okay. Sony makes some great cameras.
Yes.
The cameras that come out nowadays, the digital ones, are just amazing.
Phenomenal.
I
Yep.
mean, people, you can spend a lot of money, but actually, the images that come out of the black money. The GH4, is that a Sony too?
No, that's a, I want to say Panasonic, maybe?
Panasonic GH4, but then the Sonys, they really come up with some great stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
Did you do the cinematography, or did you have somebody else
No,
do
no,
it?
no. So,
Good. Now tell us who the cinematographer
yeah,
was.
so Boone Speed and Mike Ferry shot Joan for me.
Okay.
So I kind of had two DPs, and they were both running cameras simultaneously. We had them set up in different places, shooting different things.
Okay, so you did the two-camera shoot on this.
We sure did. Yep.
And how do you work with the cinematography? Do you work with the actors and then tell the cinematographers, here's what I want it lit, go to work, and then kind of tweak it when you're done?
Well, I think that I'm not as technically competent or proficient.
me too,
You know,
man.
as a lot. I mean, I think I have a general. You know, working with Mike and Boone, I'm able to say, you know, in that film where the light's kind of like that, you know, and maybe we should be shooting here. You know, I really rely on. I love
You
my
should
crew.
rely
you know,
on them, right?
And they're the experts, right? So I had a very definite idea of what I wanted to see, and we did some camera tests, we did some lighting tests, and so we could kind of go into the shoot knowing, here's the kind of thing we want to go for. And then, of course, in the heat of the battle, you change things around.
So-
But I really rely on them.
And
for
so,
that.
how do you work with the actors then, and the actresses especially, because this is
Yeah.
a silent film, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes.
And so it's got to be, a lot of it's got to be what it really should be anyway, is how their behavior and emotion and stuff.
Sure.
So how did you draw that out of her? Because this is not a very fun situation for her, I take it.
It is not, and the counselors themselves are super intense. We didn't see a lot of them in that clip, but I mean they had a lot of screen time, and it's pretty intense. I like to let actors kind of experiment. You
Good.
know, I always have notes in specific direction if that's going to be helpful. You know, but a lot of times, you know, just like with the lighting of the crew lighting things, the best ideas come from just letting people just kind of do their thing. You know, so for instance, John Branch in this shoot, quite a few times he said, "How about if I try it like this? Why don't we try it like that?" And I'm completely open to that because
Right.
you know, films, it's got to be a collaboration, or you're just
Right.
going to end up with a movie that, like, you know, is not nearly as compelling.
Sometimes the actors know a little bit better than a director, I think.
Absolutely, and you
And
gotta,
a lot of things, here's the way I look at it. Shoot it the way the director wants, shoot it the way the actor wants, and then let the editor piece together the best story.
I think that's really true, and I think, you know, it's an old cliche, but you know, the movie gets made 3 times when it's in the
It's
script.
written,
Yeah,
when it's
exactly.
shot, and actually it's the edit that.
The edit's the
final-
one that
that
does it.
counts.
I totally agree with that, and you know, so I'm always trying to let them do their thing. You
Right.
know.
So getting back to the cinematography.
Yeah.
Did you come up with a shot list for Joan, or because
I
of,
did.
Right.
Yeah.
You do. Good for you.
Yeah, so I had a very specific shot list because one of the things I was trying to do with that film, and also one of my previous films, Letter B, I was trying very much to mimic some of the camera setups and camera moves that were in the original Joan of Arc, but I
Oh,
wanted
really?
to
Yeah, good.
so you know, you can't do it exactly, and of course that was 4:3, and we shot this in 16:9, so there's some technical differences, but I really wanted to get what they had in that Joan of Arc film, which was, it was very disorienting. The shots were really unusual, and I wanted to replicate that, but then kind of do it in our own way. So I came in with a shot list and and storyboards and
So,
whatnot.
so getting back to the other films, what was the other one? Frightening Nature.
Yeah, and I mentioned Letter B, which was also
Right.
one of the earlier ones
Do you
too.
actually hire or have a sound person come on?
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
now
for you, because sound is extremely important.
I think, well, yeah, and as filmmakers, you know that like sound can be overlooked, and it's so critical, right?
A bad sounding movie, you just can't watch.
Yeah, so we, Letter B, we had, a great sound guy, Evan Gandy. On Joan, of course, it was a silent film,
Yeah.
so we didn't have to worry about that as much.
Right, right. So, what do you think your strengths are as a filmmaker?
I think I'm good at listening to, I
Good.
very much.
You gotta listen.
I know, it's better than not.
Right.
Like with the cinematographers, I want to hear what their ideas are. I want us to all kind of figure out the best way to do things, and just like with the actors, I really like working with actors, and I really like to trust them. At the same time, I can get tweaky like any director.
Yeah, you
know?
have to though, because
Yeah.
this is your a story.
Sure.
It's about the story, and you know what your vision is.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes that vision changes.
Sometimes the vision changes. Sometimes it's hard to, you've got an idea, sorta, and then you get in the scene and you're like, oh yeah, here's where we need to go.
So, since you've been in Portland for a long time, you know
Yeah.
a lot of the actors. Did you actually audition for your short films, or do you actually kind of had an idea already who you want?
I actually auditioned every film that I've done. I've auditioned folks for, so
Good.
I kind of like that. Like for instance, I'd happened to work with John Branch before, but I'd never met J.J. Johnston before. He did a great job. I knew Kira, but I'd never actually worked with her. So yeah, I like to audition folks. All the actors that were in my movie Letter B that showed earlier this year, I'd never even met any of them.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, what do you think is your major weakness then, as a filmmaker?
Well, sometimes I can get lost in the technical stuff.
Right.
Like I'll have an idea of something that I'd like to capture, and I don't know how to get there, and I don't know how to explain it necessarily.
Oh, yeah.
And then conversely, sometimes the crew will want to light something in a certain way, and I want to get to the performance, and I'll just be like, I don't care how you light it. I just want to
Yeah.
start shooting.
Okay, I get it.
And that sometimes that's good. You can get things rolling along. Sometimes
Sometimes
you need to
not.
let them, yeah, you need to let them do their job. So I've worked with, for instance, Boone and Mike a lot, and they can go, Matt, go take 5.
Oh, really?
We're gonna look
Well,
like
it's good that they can do that.
I
You-
appreciate
you know,
it.
You need to go.
Absolutely.
We need to light this right.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
absolutely. Yeah.
So what is your favorite part of filmmaking?
I think that collaboration, that
Yeah,
thing, you
working
know.
with everyone else.
Yeah, I think, you know, to me, I've written a lot, but I don't necessarily, it's
What
hard.
about editing it though at the end and seeing your work come to life?
Well, so editing is where, to me, a lot of the magic can happen.
Right.
Sometimes it's a grind to get to that.
Oh my
'cause,
gosh!
you know,
Actually, it's a grind to finish it too.
Yes, yeah.
Editing can be pretty daunting.
it can be very daunting. When you hit those moments, though, where you're like,
get,
ah,
oh,
yeah.
yes.
Like, and I think, you know, I'm really
And
excited
then when you
about.
then when you see it, and somebody else did the sound design and added sound in, and you're like, oh man!
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
You get a little charged each time.
Absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to finishing Joan and kind of seeing that all come together. And the edit's done, so it's basically just, you know, they're working on the score and the sound design now.
Okay. So what's your least favorite thing then about making films?
Well, I think every filmmaker, you know, the scrounging for money, or you know, or like, you know, just trying to put the thing together can be tough.
Getting
and the
everybody at the same
logistics,
place
and,
at the
you know,
same
and you
time.
want to, yeah, the logistics of it. If you've got a little bit of money, figuring out how to, you know, how to spend it and how to do that right, you know, sometimes all the logistics of it can be.
Right. So what is your
daunting.
favorite screenplay? Actually,
A favorite screenplay?
Yeah, a screenplay.
Well,
not
so
film.
I think the screenplay, despite how it all came together, I think the screenplay to Casablanca is like every line in that script telegraphs something that's going to happen, tells something that has already happened, and tells character. I think
Right.
it's
So it foreshadows or fulfills something that was foreshadowed earlier.
I think that script is perfect.
Is that right?
Yep.
Who's your favorite A-list Hollywood director?
Well, I love the Coen Brothers.
Okay.
I think probably that's what comes to mind. I think first. I think they're brilliant.
Does that genre does it
Well,
affect
I like.
you at all with like not with Joan, that's for sure, but like with Frightening Nature or
Well, I think
Bee
that
or something?
I think that the Coen Brothers do such a great job of. They have very interesting characters. They've actually made a lot of different kinds of films, in my opinion. But they all have dark humor in them. They've all got, you know, they're all really cleverly shot. I can't say that it's all one genre that they shoot, but I love.
It doesn't seem like it though.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. But I love the stuff that they shoot though.
So what's your favorite film?
Favorite film ever? One of them is definitely Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
I think that's I never tire of watching that movie. I think the sound design, the score, the acting, everything is.
You
that
shot like
great.
1 million feet of film for that too. They were
did
there for months.
Oh yeah, that was a that was quite a shoot. But I think it's a brilliant movie.
What kind of inspiration do you draw from that film or from other films?
Well, I think from that film, I think, you know, I find it inspiring the fact that he didn't give up.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly,
I mean,
that
typhoons blew
swing,
down his sets.
yeah.
He had to mortgage his home. You know, the studio cut off money. He never stopped. Marlon Brando wouldn't read the script. Marlon Brando, you know, but nothing stopped him. He
Right.
just kept going. That's inspiring.
So is there a common type of film genre that you're drawn to more than others?
I don't know if there's a genre necessarily. I like things that are sort of on the noir end of stuff. I like dark movies, generally speaking. But anything I can like anything that's well done, really.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think.
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Tell us what A-list actor and then again actress would you like to direct or work with someday on a film project?
You know, you asked me that question earlier when we were just chatting, and I don't know. I'd never thought about it before. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know.
Okay.
Like I love Like, I think George Clooney's a great actor. He's been in a bunch of great stuff. I really like his. It'd be great to work with him. But I've never written a script and thought, gee, if only I could
could get that actor or
Yeah,
actress, yeah.
I have never thought about that really.
Well, it's good because then you don't write to a specific person.
I don't think I've ever done that. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What do you consider the elements of a good film? And then again, what's a great film?
Well, I can sometimes enjoy a film just because of the way it feels.
Okay.
You know, I don't always have to, like, things can sometimes not even add up in a film, and I'll still really enjoy it because of the emotional
Okay.
impact of it. So I sometimes enjoy just the mood and tone of films as opposed to, like, the plot devices.
All right. Where do you hope to see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I hope I'm making some. I hope I get, Lower Boom is helping other filmmakers make films.
That's true.
You know,
right.
I mean, that's.
And so, what's the app thing that it's?
Well, it's going to be. So I would encourage everybody to go to lowerboom.com, and you can sign up to be a beta tester for the app. We're still developing it, but essentially, what I'm trying to do is put together a little ecosystem that filmmakers can get their films discovered.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, part of Lower Boom's charter is not just so I can make movies. It's about
Sure.
helping independent filmmakers make films from all over.
Since you've started from scratch making films,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for other people getting ready to make films or interested in making films? What would you give them as advice?
Well, I think the best advice that you can give anybody in filmmaking is just go make a film. You know,
Yeah.
it's so. I mean, you could, like you can go to Northwest Film Center. You can rent a camera for $40, and you can make a movie that weekend. You know, Mark Duplass gave a great keynote at South by Southwest, and basically, he's got 2 shows on Netflix now. He's making a lot of movies, and his whole thing was, we just got a camera. We went out, we started shooting, and we did that every weekend. You know, that was just what he did. That's the thing. You just got to go start doing it.
So, what's next for you?
Well, shooting another film next month. We're going to have the premiere of Joan in November, and then I've got 2 features that are in
Is it going to
development
premiere
right now.
somewhere in Portland?
Yeah, we're going to show it. I think we're going to show it in the courtyard of the Portland Art Museum in November, and we're going to have a live string quartet playing the score, and going to show it there in the balcony.
Well, that would be awesome.
I think
Live
it's going to be
string
really
quartet.
cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Right now, we're finishing up Portland Film Beat. We don't have much time left. I want to thank my executive producer, Carol Poland, our director, Ellery Nelson. I want to thank Krista, and Joni Jorgensen, Jonathan down here at TVC TV for all the help that they give me. I also want to thank Emily and Kate down at PCM TV for all their help. And until next time, on Portland Film Beat, shoot for the silver screen.